Hi friends, I'm going to give you 9 different reasons and understandings from the field of science of how breatharianism actually works in order to, you can say, relieve that trained mental brain that wants to understand how spiritual things actually work in the world. Number 1, science supports caloric restriction as the only proven methodology in order to expand lifespan. Now, if you don't know what caloric restriction is, it's when they took different mammals, meaning rats or lions or human beings, and they actually fed them about 60 to 70% of what science supports as the ideal caloric amount per day. Now, what they actually observed in these animals is that their lifespan expanded 30% longer, and their explanation was that their body actually adapted, upgraded its systems, had the time to clean itself from the inside, and therefore they had 30% longer lifespans and they had significantly less diseases. So that's number 1, and it's the only thing that we can actually see in nature that prolongs life. And we should ask ourselves why, when a person eats less, they live longer. Number 2, which is the water inside our body. So science right now supports that every human being should supposedly drink 2 liters of water every day, but nobody actually questions why. How come we need to drink so much water? What does the body actually do with it, with all this water? And the reason is that we drink so much water because we eat so much food, and most of the water is actually used to clean out the food that we eat. So when a person eats considerably less, or they eat much more fruits and vegetables that already have the content of water inside it, they don't need or require so much water. And this is something that's very significant because about 60 to 70% of our body is supposed to be water. And one of the things that breatharians need less is water because they consume less food. The next thing in line is number 3, the digestive system. Now, in order to digest things that are heavy, like proteins, the body actually uses 20 to 25% of the energy to actually digest those proteins. In other things like carbs, it's between 10 to 15%. So the digestive system is one of the heaviest systems in the body, which the breatharians use very, very little, and therefore they have 20 to 25% more energy. So imagine that when you are eating something, you're actually needing the energy from the food in order to digest, and you're not using any other type of energy. What if you would eat that through liquids, through juices? You would not need the digestion at all, and you could save up that energy. The next thing in line, which is half scientific, is toxins. Now, the common sense says that when we are breathing carbon dioxide or polluted air, and when we are thinking negative thoughts and the things that are kept inside our bodies, like our traumas, and when we're eating food that is not proper for eating, in other words, food that we created in the last 200 years, and it's not organic, and it's not natural, and it's full of pesticides and other things that we created, there are toxins that the body has accumulated that need to be released. Now, between a perfectly healthy human being and sickness, there are different obstacles that we call in some way toxins. You can call them whatever you want. I call them toxins because it's easier to understand. Now, the reason that the body doesn't work as efficiently is because there are these toxins. Imagine like a person that smokes. So the toxins are in the lungs, and therefore when they breathe, when they inhale, the body doesn't take as much oxygen, and the release system of the carbon dioxide doesn't work as effectively as well. So when a breatharian becomes a breatharian, the first thing that happens is that they completely detox the body. They remove the obstacles themselves, but it's physical, but it's also emotional and spiritual obstacles that they learn they have to let go of, and they do that. And then the body doesn't have to fight it. So if a smoker now needs to breathe 150% more in order to get the capacity that it used to need, right now the body of the breatharian is actually so clean that it doesn't need that much energy like it did before, because there are no more toxins to be cleaned out. And there's no more obstacles, no more resistance of the flow of natural energy. When people do it once a year, it's not enough. When people do it once a month, it's also not enough. When I used to fast, before I became a breatharian and had this as a lifestyle, I used to fast once a week for 24 hours, a dry fast, absolutely nothing at all. And that can begin to have the cleanest level that I'm talking about. Now, as a breatharian, you never allow so many toxins to come in because we just don't eat. And as a normal person, the amount that they actually eat, it creates a whole mess inside the body. So what you have is the body of a child. A child can consume very, very little. A child can stay much more in the zone and in the present, and therefore the little bit that they consume, the body knows how to maximize. But as a mature adult, with toxins and with emotional baggages that come with that, there's so many obstacles that the mature adult needs much more to consume much more. And the amount of emotional eating is also much higher, and there's so many toxins involved. Number 5 is the way that science actually measures. The measurement is the caloric system. And simply put, and this is of course the way that most people see it right now, even though nobody's really talking about it, if a person needs to consume 3,000 calories a day in order to, we can say this, the balance point between how much they actually take out and how much they actually bring in. If they would eat more, let's say 3,100 calories per day, over a course of years, they will get fat and fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter. This is according to science. If they will consume 2,900, they will get weaker and weaker and leaner and leaner and leaner until, again, they will be bulimic and possibly die. This is, of course, an exaggeration, but this is how science sees it. So it's all very, very calculated and accurate. Nobody actually measured, over a course of many years, many multiple variables, how much the body can actually adapt and how much each type of food actually gives you beyond the calories. Calories is a measurement of how much energy it takes to burn something. That's the way that they actually measure the calories. But you can't really compare the calories that come from an apple to the calories that come from something that's, like a cake. Why? Because there's so many toxins involved with digesting and cleaning out a cake that they're not involved in an apple. An apple is natural. An apple is the closest thing that we come to the energy of the sun that has been stored inside a tree over a course of many years and has materialized. Beyond that, the apple is partly physical and it's partly energetic, like the cake. And this is very important. Why? Because the consciousness of the observer, and again, this is scientific, science has proven to us that our intention sets a course that changes the world. You can see this in The Secret. You can see this in quantum physics experiments when a group of people consciously think about a specific number and appears. So when you are taking in this apple, you're actually taking in something that is physical, cells, but you're creating of cells, but you're actually also taking something that is energetic, that is influenced by your mind. So your mind can put the intention, and this is, by the way, the reason that they have prayers in all major religions before someone eats. It is to change the molecules of the water that are inside the food that are going to be the best and the positive with your intention for your body. And that makes the food much more effective. So a person that is already vibrating in that high intention of gratitude and acceptance that has changed their beliefs, because again, we can be grateful with words like a robot, but we can actually mean what it is that we say. And when we're doing that, we're actually changing the cells of the cake, if it's that thing that we're eating, to be more like the apple, to be better for our body. And that is on an energetic level. This is not on an physical level. In other words, you know that the apple is better than the cake, but now with a certain mindset, you can actually influence the body to take less of that. Number 6 is the placebo effect. Now, I really love the placebo effect. Nobody talks about the placebo effect. So the placebo effect works with breatharians as well. In other words, what happens during the breatharian initiation? People change their mindset about how much water we actually need. In my initiations, people go through 4 days without food and water straight. And in the beginning, maybe people are a little bit afraid, but then they see that the whole group is doing this together. And that changes things. And when you go through 4 days without food and water, and you wake up in the end and you say, wow, I can still talk, I can still smile, I'm still myself, and I still have energy to do all these things and all the activities, the physical activities that we're actually doing there, it changes your mindset about how much food do I actually need and how much I can make from that little thing that I actually took in. And all of these things that I'm telling you, they also go into the placebo effect because it changes the way that we perceive things. It changes our belief. And the first thing that is affected from the change of our belief is our body. So our body, after that change of mindset, using the placebo effect, which is scientifically proven, can actually take in significantly less. How much significantly less? Crazy significantly less. I can tell you that I know people that specifically go without food and water for their entire life. I know they exist. I haven't met them personally. And I know that they've been tested. Some of them failed, some of them succeeded. But I can tell you that it's such a reduction that you can eat 10% of what you used to. So I can normally eat one meal or 2 meals a week. Or in the year that I was, in the beginning, I was a little bit more eccentric. I did a whole year like that, and I wrote a book about that as well. And that's why I decided to teach it, because it gave me so much energy and so much wisdom and so much presentness and much more humbleness and feminine energy. There's so many other things that are beyond the food. But the food is the tool that we use in order to understand all these things. And I'm using this video to create a mental understanding and basically change the mindset of the people about what breatharianism is. There's so many things that science doesn't know how to explain. The abilities that the human mind has over matter, the ability of certain human beings that they can do things that we can't even fathom, the ability to fast for years sometimes, the ability to go into a meditative state and be buried, supposedly alive, and come out after a few days still alive without even one breath. So there's so many different things that our science, that is a science of observation, because we observe different things and then we explain them. So when I volunteered in 2013 to go 8 days without food and water on national TV, and you can find it on raymore.com on my website, because I had it subtitled to English as well. And they took my blood every day, and the doctor in the beginning said, this and this is going to happen. You're going to miss electrolytes, you're going to go dehydrated, we're going to take you out in an ambulance, and we're going to, shut down the show. And we proved to them that a person can go 8 days without food and water, and now we can prove to them that a person goes 2 weeks maybe, and months over months without food at all. So the ability of the mind and the ability of the body is still not completely understood by science, and therefore we have different subjects that are actually volunteering to show what the human mind and body are actually capable of. And when we see them, our brain, our chemistry, our belief system changes, because we understand that we can do that as well. I hope I explained myself very well, my friends. My name is Ray. Thank you very much for watching me all the way to the end. Please share this video, like it, and subscribe to my channel. Namaste, and I will see you in my next video.